We're going to talk a little bit about instructional strategies, looking at some innovative ways to do some things in the classroom. We're also going to talk a little bit about grouping, and I'm talking about anything from when you put kids into groups to when you're deciding what tables to place your kids at. We're going to talk a little bit about this. The first thing I'll say is, as we're looking at this, one of the questions that I used to ask teachers right after I taught them the profiles is, which profile would you pair a random actor with? And this is right after no more of the training, I just taught them about the profiles. And what do you think the most common answer was? Say it, not loyalists? Managers, okay? The common choice, if you're going to put somebody sitting beside a random actor, is a manager. Why do you think that's the case for a lot of teachers? So they can help manage them, right? Because these kids are difficult, right? So, which behavioral profile do you think random actors dislike the most? Managers. So, there's good reasoning behind why teachers have done that so much for so long. And it stands to reason that that kid's a good manager, they'll help manage that kid. But the issue with that kid is they're very conventional, right? And they're confident. And the person that they're least likely to put with these people are your innovators, or cautious innovators. And I think the fear is that that random actor is going to bring them into their evil web, right? But I can tell you, what have we learned about Brooks Brown? He was hanging out with them. He found out about something bad, right? And he went to an adult. So let's say that they're sitting in that group with Brooks Brown. Do we want them sitting with someone that they would tell something really bad that they're going to do? We do, right? Do you think they would even tell the manager? Nope. And in fact, that manager might go to the top of their hit list. Again, I'm going to back up. My daughter is a manager. If the only thing you learn from this training is do not put my daughter paired up with a random actor if she's in your class, right? Loyalists, what's the problem there? They're gullible, right? And they'll kind of bring them in. Cautious innovators, there could be some issues there as well, but generally not as bad as the loyalist or manager, because they're more of an innovator. So they're going to be a little bit more cautious, untrusting. They may not even trust the random actor. So there's not as many issues there as well. So just a little bit of tip just on that particular profile. All right, so now we're talking about places. And I'm going to go through some of this fairly quickly, but y'all just get on your devices and you vote which is more likely to have a mass shooting, McDonald's or Jack in the Box. Southwest Airlines, which is more likely to have a mass shooting? I'm going to go over these in just a second. Let's get them all done first. Ten seconds. Art class or accounting class, which is more likely to have a mass shooting? Okay, we're going to talk about these. The answers, McDonald's or Jack in the Box, the answer was McDonald's. Okay. Art class or accounting class, the answer is accounting class. What was the one right before this? American or Southwest, it was overwhelmingly, you all said American. Okay? And there's actually something similar in the places of these profiles. One of the things about these places, they're all very conventional. I mean, American Airlines has the American on the side of it, right? McDonald's, they're still bragging about their billion served. At some point, we get it. You served a lot of people, stop counting. Jack in the Box just has a bunch of funny commercials where you have a guy with the funny head, right? And he's put videos of guys having the munchies at 4 o'clock in the morning that need some tacos, right? This is very unconventional advertising. In an art class, you're going to see more unconventional, creative things come out of kids. Accounting is a very technical discipline, and it's very conventional. So the question is, and what we have to start looking at is, how can we do things in our classroom more similar to the types of places that, and as a school district, the types of places that are less likely to be targeted by a shooter, right? So this is just a really good picture of baked chicken. Right now you're thinking, here he goes again with his innovator side. He's just got a picture of baked chicken in his presentation. I want to talk a little bit about baked chicken because, and the reason why this is in there, I'm going to tell a quick story, and it illustrates what we're trying to do in the classroom and what I'm hoping to see different as we move forward. When I was just out of college, I graduated, and I went home. I was looking for a job. I wanted to move back closer to home. And shortly after I got back, my stepdad had a horrific heart attack. Almost died, but he did live. And my mom's goal was to keep that man alive, no matter what. So she started looking at diet, and she started serving baked chicken. I wish that baked chicken looked as good as this chicken. Because she went straight up, unsalted, dry baked chicken. We're talking baked chicken that when you take a bite of it, you take 4 drinks of water to get it down your throat. So let me ask you, how many nights did she do this? 6 nights a week. So how long, as a 19-year-old, do you think it took me to start calling home going, hey mom, hey, what do we have tonight? Baked chicken. How long did it take me to go, I'm going to find something else to eat on the way home. I'm going to stop off at a fast food place, or I'm going to go to a friend's house, right? Because I was so sick and tired of baked chicken. And these kids are different. They're unconventional. And we're kind of forced into some of this because of laws and everything else. But the conventional teaching styles is like baked chicken every day to kids. They're tired of it. So we're going to be talking about innovative, outside the box, unconventional things you can do in the classroom. Because we don't want to serve baked chicken every day to our kids. There's so many different things that we can do that is going to help. And I love this because it says cooking for 2 right here. Because it quickly turned into cooking for 2 because I was out of there and she was just cooking for her and my stepdad pretty quickly. One more real quick, which is more likely to have a mass shooting? Texas Tech University or Austin College? Real quickly. You guys are getting better and better at this. And the answer is, of course, Texas Tech. It's a state-run school with technical difficulties. Austin College is a liberal arts college. So which profile would a random actor most likely attack? Managers, right? And that's not only for human beings, that's also for places. Looking at people that are likely targets: educators, bosses, managers, Christians, athletes, administrators, and parents. So many of the kids that have gone up to the school to shoot up the school, the first thing they did before they left their house was load their gun and shoot their parents. Okay? Places that are likely targets: small towns or suburban towns, towns that have a lot of churches, post offices. Everybody remember in the 80s the trend of the going postal? Airports, government agencies, state or technical colleges. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Anna, the town of Anna, does fit that profile. It's a pretty conservative town. Now, a lot of the adults are conservative, but a lot of the kids aren't. Okay? So we're going to talk about how we can do school in a way that's going to help these kids. This is UPS. You remember in the 80s when you had all those postal shootings? UPS had 0 incidents of any shootings during that time frame when there were a number of shootings at post offices. And it all comes down to one thing, really. UPS ran their business one way, and the Postal Service ran it another. The Postal Service was very rigid. They were very structured, very strict on their schedules. The mail carriers get the same route every day. The mail comes in, they all do the same thing, and the bosses were kind of just rigid. It was very conventionally done. Okay, so years ago, more people liked that. They liked convention, right? But if there was one random actor that ever worked for a post office, the daily baked chicken of doing the same thing every day, at some point they get fed up with it, and they just need to trigger an event so they can explode. Kind of like what we started to see out of Ray Lyman in that video clip, right? So UPS, 0 incidents. And if you look at the way they run their business, it's vastly different. They're a lot more innovative. The routes are different every day for the drivers. They're actually extremely laid back. They vary things up. They're very flexible with their employees. And in fact, in some places, the people get to choose their hours. They can come in earlier, leave later. It's extremely flexible. Your random actors love that. So we're going to try to find a way to do things in Anna ISD more like UPS and less like the U.S. Postal Service, right? Does that sound good? Let me ask you this. Can you spot a murderer just by looking at them? We're going to do a quick exercise. Go ahead and vote. Do you think this kid grew up to commit murder or did not? Just based off looking at him. Quickly, 5 seconds. This person, did they grow up to be a murderer or not? Go. Five seconds. This person, murderer or no? 5 seconds. No, y'all a little bit more time than that. Go. 5 seconds. This person, did they grow up to commit a murder? Yes or no? 5 seconds. One more. All right, let's see how you did. 61% of you said murder. Let's see if you were right. 61% of you got that right. This is the shooter. This happened before Columbine. This was at Pearl, Mississippi in the mid-90s. This particular kid went into the school, killed multiple classmates. One of the administrators, the assistant principal, just happened to be in the National Guard, and he had just been on duty that weekend. And he usually did not bring his firearm to the school, but he had forgotten and accidentally left it in his truck. So he ran out to the truck when he saw the shooting starting, and he came in, and when the shooter saw him with a weapon, he fled. The assistant principal tracked him down and held him at gunpoint and had him, he talked him down to getting into a position. He had thrown his firearm away, and he held him there. And he asked him, said, "Who are you? Why are you doing this to our school?" And he said, "It's me, Luke. I gave you your pizza last night at Pizza Hut. Don't you remember?" The assistant principal didn't even know who he was. He flew under the radar so much and was never considered a threat, although he had been exhibiting signs of it for months. There's a great book called If Only I Had Known, written by the superintendent of that school district. The superintendent went to visit this young man for weeks at the prison and was talking to him, explaining, and writes about the process of how it got to this point. It's called If Only I Would Have Known. It's written by a guy named Bill Dotson. It's an amazing book. This guy, not a murderer. I think somebody back there may know who this is. Shane? Do you know who it is? Yeah? What band? Yes, he's the lead singer, right? Of a band. But guess what? Most of y'all thought he was a murderer. Right? 78% of you thought this guy was a murderer. Poor guy. This person. Let's see how you thought. 73% of you said this guy is a murderer. He is also not a murderer. In fact, he was a victim. He was accosted, kidnapped, murdered by his Boy Scout troop leader. Sorry to give you more bad news. Moving on. This person, how did y'all do? 56% of you think this person, who is an active, or former, member of Donald Trump's administration, you guys thought he was a murderer. And as of yet, we don't know that he is. This person, 69% of you said murderer, and you are correct. This is the person who committed the St. Valentine's Day Massacre at Northern Illinois University. And all the professors, everyone at Newton said, I would have never seen this coming for a million years. And then we got to see his writing samples. Many of his writings, he talked about suicide. He talked about hurting himself. He talked about self-harm. He's talked about incarceration. He had a tattoo. Anybody ever seen the movie Saw? He had a tattoo of the villain all the way down his arm, and it tattooed cuts on his arm that looked deep. Is that unconventional? I know a lot of conventional people that have that tattoo. Okay? So he showed signs of it for years. The point is, y'all are looking at the talk, not the walk. You're just looking at faces. It's a guessing game. You cannot tell by looking. Look at these pictures. If this is the picture you see, you're never going to see that these kids grew up to do one of the most horrific school shootings in the history of the world. We have to look at behaviors. Walk or talk. This is a writing assignment that Luke Woodham did, the one who did the Pearl, Mississippi shooting. All the way through it, he's talking about if he could rule the school for one day, he would kill all the teachers, he would get all their money, and at the end, he would blow his brains out. This was turned into a teacher. In 95, this was not a red flag situation. Now, very quickly, we would be giving this to administrators. We would be getting to one of the people on your campus that are assigned to mental health, and we would start getting this child help. And here's the craziest thing about it. This child, you would have loved. It would have broke your heart that he did it. And he exhibited the signs as early as kindergarten. That's the one thing I want y'all to know is that these are not broken children. They are deeply troubled. There is so much we can do. I want y'all to be looking for it, and we're going to try to give you more support as we go forward. The 3 components you need, and we're talking about Ray Lyman here. He fit the profile. He now has some stressors, right? He's frustrated. He's disgruntled. The one thing that he never got, so he never was on the news for blowing up the city council. He never had another triggering event that happened. Thank God that he didn't, because this guy could be somebody that you would have seen on the news. These are 3 famous random actors. You have Adolf Hitler, biggest villain in the history of the world, right? You have Fidel Castro and Muhammad Atta. Muhammad Atta flew a plane into the Twin Towers. Adolf Hitler was an artist growing up. His dream, his boyhood dream, was to be a member of the Munich Arts Institute and to become an artist, a famous artist. He was denied entrance into the Munich Arts Institute twice. The second time, he gave up on his dream, and he was frustrated by not getting his dream, so he got into politics. If he would have been a little bit better artist, guys, the world would be so much different. That was his triggering event, and he used it to exterminate people. And guess what? The Munich Arts Institute, the head of the school, the dean, that denied him entrance, guess what his religion was? Jewish. Fidel Castro was a baseball player growing up. He tried out for the major leagues. He tried out for the Washington Senators, got cut. He went home and started the communist movement. And up until just recently, Cuban-born players were not allowed to come to the United States and play baseball in the major leagues. They could be a part of the Cuban national team. They were not allowed to defect. If they did, they were not allowed to come back. They could not see their families. One of the Yankees pitchers talks about having to attend his mother's funeral on FaceTime on someone's phone because he was not allowed to go to his mother's funeral and how he had to leave. So literally, he made it where nobody else could do it either because he couldn't. And then the third guy, never even into religion. And his parents got a divorce. That was his triggering event. And he became a religious Muslim extremist. And next thing you know, he's flying a plane into a tower, ending his life. And sometimes their cause wasn't actually the trigger. They'll find a way to justify it. Like Ray Lyman's trying to justify that y'all aren't taking care of me and this old lady in this community. But he's getting triggered. You see what I'm saying? So, moving on, now that there's good news. There's things we can do. Okay? So we're about to talk about change, variability, and flexibility, and protective factors, which is actually what she talked about this morning, and then teaching confident decisions. Okay, intervention point 1, change, variability, and flexibility. DAP is a great place. Okay, we have some DAP people in here. When I was at Whitesboro, we had a night school, and it was different. And every single random actor that identified, we gave them the option of going to get their education at night, and they all chose it. They loved it, and immediately they were more comfortable. DAP is a different setting. AAAC is a different setting. AAAC is that other option that we have. And a lot of times kids are more comfortable. They're less disgruntled. And they feel better about coming into that classroom. And really, it's about them getting a choice of how they get their education. The other thing is unconventional assignments. Okay, no big chicken, right? So we're going to kind of give a couple examples of some creative, unconventional, outside-the-box assignments that teachers in this district have used. This is of a former teacher that gave me permission. Vocabulary is one of the most basic, boring things. I hated vocabulary. In fact, I did not score a perfect score on a single 5th grade spelling test. At the end of the year, I won the class spelling bee, though. And it was literally just words from the test that we had had the whole year. That's interesting, right? That shouldn't be possible. My teacher was so mad at me that day. She kept looking at me, and how pronounce spelling perpendicular and rhinoceros and all these words. And then at one point, she just said, you just wanted the glory. How did you get this? I was like, oh, I memorized the whole book last night. Because I wasn't interested in the basic way it was being taught at the time. It was a sheet, take us home, and for me, it was like such a chore that I hated it. So I went through the motions and I did it. This was just a great way to teach the vocabulary. Dude, if I could have rolled a dice, don't you think I would have been the kid loving to act out the word? If I didn't know what the word was, I was going to find out because I want to act it out really well, right? These are your innovators. Finding the opposite, a synonym, using the word in the sentence. I would have been like praying that I rolled that one so I can act it out. Just a different kind of way to teach a conventional thing like vocabulary. This teacher is not here. She talked at the last training, but she used to do this was on food chains and trophic levels, and she used to do an assignment on surviving the Dust Bowl. And kids loved it. And she was talking to me. She's like, yeah, and then one year, they just didn't like it very much. And then the next year, they just really weren't that interested in it. So I decided to change it up. And she did surviving the winter during the zombie apocalypse. All the creativeness started coming out. She's teaching the same thing, same teaks, but in just an innovative, different way. And she said it was dramatic, the difference in the way how the kids were responding. And I had the best assignments I've had turned in years. And really, she'd been teaching the same subject while kids were more conventional. And as time went on, they became less conventional and they weren't responding as well. And you may see that in the classroom, that some of the conventional stuff they don't respond to. And it's frustrating, but if we can kind of go outside the box a little bit, they're going to start loving your class a little bit more, you're going to start loving teaching a little bit more, and it's good stuff. Okay, this is, Abby, you want to come up here? Miss Kinder? Yep. This is Miss Kinder's assignment, so I'm going to let her talk a little bit about it. But when I think of little elementary school age Vince, I would have loved every bit of this assignment. I would have been all in on this. And so I'm going to let her kind of explain this.
Okay, so I started this because we got a new curriculum this past year for math. Probably a lot of you know it, Sharon Wells. And a lot of it was, as the teacher, we just stand up and talk to the kids. The kids were not paying attention. They just didn't care. So I decided to take pictures of the lesson and video myself over it. And I noticed when I was doing that, I put it in a center and I was able to have more time small group with my kids. And whenever I played the videos of my assignments, instead of me just standing and lecturing to the kids, I noticed a lot of my lower kids were pausing the video and taking notes, or having to go back and rewatch the video. And I didn't realize I talk really fast, and they weren't paying attention, and they were not understanding what I was saying. It took them longer for it to seep in. And then my higher kids were actually pausing the video before I even started speaking, and were doing the whole paper on their own, and then going back and doing their work with me. So they were able to do it by themselves. So for my higher kids, that really helped. So I created this right before the STAR, and so it's a review for the STAR. So like the rules were, I had big donuts on my wall, and every time they completed a task, they would get a sprinkle. So it was a visual tracking for them as well, and once they got all 6 of their sprinkles, they got donuts in class, so they really enjoyed that incentive. Oh, okay. Well, I'll explain it. So I just pulled the most frequently asked teaks that were required for 3rd grade math, and then after that, I made quizzes with 5 questions with each teak. They would have to take the quizzes. If they did not make above an 80, they had to watch a video of me explaining how to walk through each of the questions, and then they could do their second attempt. And I was able to pull them back and really go over each teak with them before the STAR. So it helped. It helped a lot watching these videos, and they were able to pause and work through. So.
Thank you. Okay, so let's talk about this from a kid perspective. soon as I sit down and she pulls this up and I see donuts with sprinkles, I'm locked in. Right? Tell me more, right? I'm way into this right now. If anyone knows how much I like to eat, you know I'm telling the truth. And then the second part is, this is very clear. It's very concise. It's explained very well. Again, all kids like to know what the expectations are, right? And one of the favorite things for me is that you get to add the sprinkles, and it's visual, it's in the class. Remember, I'm not a gold star person. I don't necessarily care if I get a gold star on my paper, but if I can show off a little bit as a child, I would have had more sprinkles on that donut than any kid in the class, just to say that I have, not maybe to taunt people, but just to be like, I have so many sprinkles, right? I would be so into it just for that reason alone. Another thing I love about this, still a heart down here. And the reason why I love it is so many kids are not securely attached and loved on enough at home. So anytime we can put a message that we care and love them, it makes a huge difference. Like it would just make me feel good that my teacher loves me. Does that make sense? And I don't think, what I'm seeing is there's a shift of kids securely attaching and bonding with adults in their life. And not to mention they don't have the communication skills to seek that out and get that. So as much as we can put little messages, this doesn't say, I love you to my class, but some kids may feel that love, just from that little heart on the page. That's huge for me. I love that. But this is innovative, it's different, and it's math. You just got me interested in math. And we're doing things a little bit different. And we're using our conventional curriculum, but we're finding a way to make it more innovative for the classroom. And I didn't put the second part on this, Abby, and then I forgot to come back and do it for you because I didn't know what I was going to say on it when I first did this, so I apologize. And then here's examples of some bell ringers. Bell ringers are basic, conventional things, but these are some of the ones Miss Bristol uses at the high school. And I always, when I was going through and seeing these, I thought, man, this would really get my mind going. My creative juices would come out. And kids love that stuff. Here's something that's awesome. We have this Lead Forward that we've had a part of our district, and a lot of y'all have gone to the training for Lead Forward. My wife was showing me this, and there are so many innovative instructional strategies in Lead Forward. There's so much in there that if you feel like you are serving baked chicken a little bit too much, and you want to do something a little bit more innovative as far as the instructional or just trying something different, Leap Forward's got so much good stuff on it. And a lot of it is very outside the box and innovative for the use of your classroom curriculum. And here's the crazy thing. Sometimes they still need baked chicken. I don't want you to think I'm saying never. Sometimes baked chicken is the change up, right? And a lot of the kids still will like that, okay? But we have to be looking at different ways to get this message across. So if you aren't locked in to Lead Forward, and you just want an easy place to get some good instructional strategies, this is a good place to do it. All right, the other part is provide protective factors. Past class really does a good job of doing this for us. DAP, again, a lot of the DAP staff become a protective factor for these students. Trusted adult peers. This is why we're hiring more therapeutic interventionists, because they're able to kind of develop that bond in a different setting. And then the other part is strategic pairing and grouping, which is what we're going to talk about now. Okay, we already asked this question, but we're going to move forward. Okay, we're about to work in teams. Anybody competitive? All right, I want to see who's best at grouping based off the information I've given you. You're going to get in groups. If you have your own team with you, it's fun to work as a team. And you have 21 students in your class. I have listed their profiles. You are going to put them into groups of 3. I'm going to bring around papers to where you can work on this together. If any group gets all correct, I will come by and bring you Sonic drinks sometime And your choice. I'll give you some days. Does that sound good? Everybody in the group. So can somebody help me pass these out?